In this video, we're going to finish up the 13 factors you need to be aware of when you're designing a foundation underneath your shipping container. Now, I hope you saw the first video of the first six, and then this one, we're going to talk about the remaining 7. Now, factor number 7 is thermal conditions. We've kind of talked about this already, about the climate and about even the frost line, is that we need to be aware about the heat and the cold that's going to be all around your foundation, because that's going to greatly affect how your foundation is going to be selected and how it's going to be constructed and how it's going to support your shipping container. So be aware of the thermal conditions all around your site, and it's also, whatever that is, it's also going to be affecting the soil as well. So factor number 8 is radon and other contaminants. I kind of touched on a contaminant being the tank, a fuel tank under the ground. And there you'll have to make sure you're working with the environmental officials to extract it and make sure that the soil is clean of any toxins. But another consideration is radon. Radon is an odorless gas that can cause all kinds of cancers and things of that sort. And it's said that 1 out of 15 houses actually has radon in it. Some areas are a little bit more prevalent than others for the radon. For example, North Dakota has a lot of incidences with radon, but here in New Jersey, we're concerned with that too. So check with your municipality and check with your site and have a radon test to make sure that you too are protected and your family is protected from any kind of toxins like radon. You don't want to have that seeping into your house and affecting the health of your family and their loved ones. Factor number 9 is termites and other insects. Now, termites obviously likes wood, right? So your foundation, if you're using wood, it's definitely going to be a concern if you have termites in your area. One thing that you can do, instead of using wood, you could use concrete, using perhaps concrete stem walls all the way around, if that works with the type of soil and whatever your structural engineer finds best for your area based on all these factors I've been talking about. Let's say that stem wall works. If you use the stem wall, then that acts as a barrier from the outside to underside of your house to prevent any of these insects to actually even come in. And there wouldn't really be a source for them to be wanting to destroy, let's say if it was wood instead. Another good thing about stem walls is that it prevents the varmints from coming in too. So then you have this wall all the way around. Now, pier and beam, you don't have that protection so much, but if you're using concrete, still a pier or raft slab or stem wall, concrete, I think, would be the best answer to combat the use of any kind of insects that would damage your house and your foundation. Number 10 is local market preferences. Some markets in the world are really geared more to one type of construction than the other. And I touched on this on a previous video, but let me elaborate a little bit on this, is that there are some areas that there's really not the materials available to build a shipping container foundation with concrete, for example. Maybe it is all timber in that area, and maybe you do need to use that if your structural engineer finds it best to use, or vice versa. Or steel. Steel is not always available in all parts of the world, and you may not want to build a foundation with piles drilled down with steel piles and things of that sort. So check with your local municipality, talk to local contractors, and find out what type of method of construction they're most comfortable with, and also find out what the lead time is to get certain construction materials to the site, because there may be some lead time deadlines that you can't pass. Maybe you need to get that material there fast and you don't have time to wait for it to be shipped in from another country, for example. Number 11 is construction cost. Now, we're always concerned about the bottom line, right? And you might find that there's several different types of foundations that would work best for your house. Maybe just choose one, but you'll probably find if you do have that choice that pier and beam, if the budget is really the most concern and not other things that we just mentioned, and you might want to go with pier and beam because pier and beam is really the most popular type of foundation to use under shipping containers, and it's least expensive because it takes less labor and it takes less materials to do.
The 12th factor to consider is the construction schedule. You know, with some type of foundations requiring more time to build than others, you might need to choose the one that can be built the fastest if there's a time restraint to the construction schedule. For example, if the season of freezing temperature are fast approaching, you may want to choose the easiest and fastest type of foundation to build, like pier. Another thing that will affect your schedule is the availability of funds. You know, maybe you have a loan that is going to expire or the interest rates are just building up and you've got to get it scheduled to be built now so you can get that built and then you can turn it over as a profit in some way. Maybe the workforce is available during one part of the year more so than other parts. There's some software that you might want to look into. I really like the Gantt chart method. And what that does is you write all the tasks on the left and then you put the calendar dates on the right, bars along the extension or duration of each one of those tasks. And then you can tie those bars together to determine what the critical path is. Some softwares you might want to look into are Google Sheets or Excel. Those are the simplest ones and the least expensive. There is also something I use a lot, which is Microsoft Projects. And then there's another one that's really over the top. I've used it as well on some of my projects. It's called Procore. It may be a little bit more than what you need for your home design, but you may want to check it out just to see what it is.
And finally, last but not least, is the topography, number 13. The topography is, you may already know, it's how the earth is going to go up and down, different contours, how level the site is or not. And there are some clients that like to build, I designed, for example, a house that's on a cliff. And wouldn't that be spectacular to have your shipping container just hanging off of a cliff with a panoramic view all across the way? Well, you can do that, but that topography of a cliff, obviously you have air beyond. So that's going to affect the type of foundation that you're going to have in all or maybe part of your shipping container. Maybe you would then, if that was the case, maybe it was hanging out on the cliff and the back 2/3 is on a foundation and the other one is cantilevered off with maybe some steel beams underneath. I don't know, talk to your structural engineer, but I'm just daydreaming on that. I get excited about having a house that's on a cliff with a big panoramic view. And maybe you have something else in mind. Maybe you would want it to be near a water. Topography, if you're going to have a house near the water, you want to be up high enough. You want to be able to build up onto a higher level than where the ground level is. And we talked about that on the other factors there too. So those are all the 13 factors you need to be aware of when you're designing a shipping container foundation. I hope this helps. Be sure to give me a thumbs up. Share your comments. Let me know about how your construction of your shipping container house is coming. And be sure to subscribe to this channel. I want to share a lot more with you.